777 with a location at 910 South Mountain Road, by 7. We're going to begin this meeting with pledge allegiance by George Gray by Flo Sadler. Guys.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we thank you for an opportunity to gather as citizens here in Heights, and we're thankful for the moisture. We pray that thou wilt bless us as a state to be able to handle it now as it runs off. Sorry about the problems that it may cause, and pray that thou wilt help us to make those as best we can. We are thankful for our citizens and bless them and our citizens. Pray that this will be productive according to thy will and the name of Jesus Christ.
Item number 1.2, roll call. Brandon?
Councilmember Diane Anderson. Councilmember Terry Anderson.
Excuse
Councilmember Ida Moss. Councilmember Craig. Councilmember Lawrence Sadler.
Here.
Mayor John Holman.
Here.
Very
Oh, sorry.
Item number 1.3 on our agenda, council trying to set aside this treatment aside on how responsible as local officials. Tonight's us on how to be better elected officials.
Okay, I chose to talk about referendums. I don't know very much about it. I read that a little bit. A referendum is, well, let's start with an initiative. An initiative allows people to gather signatures, get the government what it should have. A referendum gives people power to get the government not to. So if the government passes something that they can put together a referendum, vice versa. Voted on, and what they do is go to City Hall and get special, what do you call it, a petition packet, and they would get that from the manager, and then crowd gets. And if they jump through all the hoops and read about it, there are a lot. But it can be done, and if it passes the town. And but there's a lot of it has to go, and one of the things that as signatures can explain why we voted the way we did on something. Yeah, there's enough time to both sides of the argument. And that's all I have.
We are going to proceed forward with the item of declaration of conflict of interest. We have a discuss the time. Let's see if we're going to go on to item of special presentation for our next council. We have Lydia, Greg. Hello. Can you hear me now? Lydia, you can go forward.
So are these correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Lydia Gray, and I will be city council. Our Easter egg hunt have been, exists now, and it's been moved to the 29th. We take it to Denver. And on May 5th, the Crook Heights Youth City Council is getting together with the Centerville Youth City Council. We're doing a little party. And we are still planning on doing a popsicle social in May. We are working on the details on that. In June, we are planning on doing a trail cleanup. And on the 29th of July, we'll be doing our flooding. Any questions?
No, thank you so much for, just so everyone knows, Crook Heights City has a robust youth city council. They meet on a monthly basis and they work and operate as their own city government. They learn city government and they learn the Robert's Rule of Order. So I appreciate all that you as youth city council have done. Thank you. It looks like Easter egg hunt is on the 29th at 10 a.m., correct? You are probably going to be here early to set up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so 10 o'clock and it will be done by 10:03, right? It's a pretty quick event.
Okay,
Okay, great.
that makes sense.
Thank you very much for all you're doing.
I have 2 questions.
Yes, please.
Is the youth city council invited to be?
I'm going to give you a pretty solid maybe on that one.
Is the city council invited to do what?
To participate in a parade this year. The liaison will get back to you on that
Well,
one.
I don't know if we have all this year for that, but we can always be part of the parade, it's like,
Yes,
so I guess we can decide one part of the parade.
yes. And I would say yes. Plan on it.
Okay. Is there going to be a Congress Day? Because we need help.
I don't know quite yet. We'll get back to you on that one. If we do, it'll be in August, so we'll give you plenty of time.
Okay.
Is that okay? Thank you, Lydia. Item number 4 is public comment period. This time we set aside for one of our agendas for the residents to talk to city council. We ask that you keep these presentations to 3 minutes. And anything that is discussed in this presentation, there is no action item we can take on it, but it's a time for all of you to present to the city council. With that, do we have anyone here that would like to present anything to city council tonight? Please come up and take your name at the microphone.
Brian Law. Can I say anything about the master plan since it's on the agenda? So we can't make comments.
Oh. Yes, no, you can definitely comment on it, absolutely.
Just so that you, everyone is aware that as property owners, we have property that goes down in the hall, where Hayes Street runs from Highway 89 to Mountain Road. We're opposed to the master plan that shows the trail going up to that hall, because it's all private property. We oppose any efforts to force any property owner to relinquish any rights to that property for a trail. There's a wide variety of reasons for that. I presented that in the planning commission meeting, but we're opposed to. In fact, we're not aware of any property owner that is in favor. So I want to make that aware at that point. My other point is, I just wanted to state, no, it's not totally approved, well, it's a county issue and a Quebec city issue, and that's flood control in that same area. I know the county's in charge of flood control. However, I just want to make a point is, so what if that floods between Mountain Road and Highway 9? So what? It's a natural floodplain. It's been there for a couple thousand years. There's a barn, there's 2 barns down there, probably only built those knowing that they could be flooded. In fact, what happened in the 1980s when we went in and did flood control, it actually damaged the ecosystem of that area now because the creek can't be in. And so it's actually damaged the natural habitat down there. So it doesn't matter if water runs out of channel down. It doesn't matter. It goes down to the highway, it goes to the culvert, it goes in. They need to keep the culvert, that's for sure. It doesn't matter why it comes out. In fact, it would be actually be good for the ecosystem of that area if it did. And my last point is, the big concern in 1982 and 1983 was not flooding from Bear Creek. A lot of us are all aware of that. I think a lot of it, but the big concern back then was the mudslide. Because there's a lot of very unstable ground up Bear Canyon. And if that were to come down, that would be the problem. Not flooding from water from that. Anyway, thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else? Not seeing or hearing anyone, we're going to move on to item number 5.1, which is review, discuss, approve, deny the updates to the Peru Heights City General Plan. The general plan has been reviewed at length. It has been discussed at length. It was presented with a public hearing last Tuesday in front of the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission approved of the general plan and sends it to us as a city council for with a recommendation of approval. And with that, I would look for a motion or any questions that anyone may have regarding the general plan.
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
I was able to send several suggestions of corrections this week to Brandon. I've been having some computer issues. Were you able to address those?
Yeah, well, there was some of them that were correct. I wasn't going to change them.
Okay.
Because they are correct in nature, but the ones that were not correct, I think.
Okay. One of the issues here tonight that a resident, Brian Law, brought up is that trail through the canyon, the gully between Green Road and Nichols Road. At the time that went on the general plan, there was some pretty significant thought that Green Road would be a crossing section for Highway 89, and Green Road would be a very busy road. It's my opinion that Green Road is not going to be a busy road anymore. And our general plan offers that roads can be part of our trail section. And it's a natural habitat for a lot of deer who are kind of lost with the new sound walls. And I fail to see the need to have that line go through those property owners' property, because Green Road is not going to be a hazardous place for people to walk or ride their bikes or travel as they are trying to get to Highway 9. And so I'm just struggling to see why we should leave that there. It is not, I don't understand what the difference is as to if people are walking down in the gully versus up on top. When the Gailey Trail in Nichols Park was developed, there were no homes there. We didn't take property from people's backyards. It was the backyards that are there are still there. They were in Kaysville, and they did not give up any land. The only people that gave up land were Ivory Properties, bought some property for the condos down there, and the road could have been in some different spots, but they got a density bonus. And further up from that, Fruit Heights owns some of the park already, and then of course the Galeys were actually quite supportive of. I don't know whether you remember. I'm trying to remember John Gailey's sister's name, but she talked quite at length at our council meetings about the red fox that she used to watch down in that area, and how she wanted it to remain a trail. But I'm just failing to see how the west side is the same as the east side. I personally felt like Max Green was treated very poorly at our planning commission meeting. It was a very cavalier attitude that said, give up your property. property. And for people who have been in this community longer than most of us have been alive, I struggle to say that we're gonna ask them. I would love them to give up their property of their own free will and choice. But I, at the very minimum, would hope if we can't take that line off the map, then I would hope that we could insert something in there that says that as a city, we have no plans to ever exercise eminent domain to take that property. I just don't think a taking is a good idea for private property that can be serviced elsewise. So I'm gonna start by making a motion, which I think, I don't know where it's gonna go, but that we remove the line. Motion fails.
Will you read the line, please?
That removes the red line going up through the gully. It's a red line on a map.
It's a green line.
Excuse me, it's a green
It's a
line.
dotted line. of
You're right.
Possible future trail.
Possible future trail.
May I make a comment, or is this a good time?
Yeah, please.
Well, just like the worries about the golf course, can we treat it the same way? If, then, you know, if people are willing and they think it's a good idea to make that trail, and everybody, I mean, we can take the property, as far as I can understand, then it's there, just like with the golf course. If the county gives it up, then we have a plan. So I'm saying just keep it that way.
That is the purpose of a master plan, is if something happens, and by taking it off, it was on there 20 years ago, 18 years ago, when the master plan was developed back then. And thankfully it was on there because we were allowed to show the Galeys that we wanted to trail through there, and they were willing to donate it. I personally, I feel very strongly that taking property isn't right. I feel very strongly about personal property rights. And I don't see or foresee any opportunity to just take property. But to take it off, I think, would be short-sighted, because we don't know what the future might hold. We don't know if in a generation or two, people want to see a red fox down there and they want to have people down there. I don't know, but it's not the time right now to do anything. Did you have something, Eileen?
So with that said, because I feel like that's not gonna go anywhere, I understand that right now, we do not have the option of taking land by eminent domain for trail. However, there were legislators in our state legislature this year that were trying to change that law. And so I'll make a substitute motion that we, as part of our trail verbiage at the beginning of our trail section, say that as a city, we have no interest in taking land for trail through the use of eminent domain.
So I would agree with that conceptually. My problem is if you look at neighboring cities down at the south end of Davis County, you have 42 that want a trail on private property, and have 2 that are holding out, that are connecting a major trail system. What if we have everyone but one, and they're unwilling, but we still go in and make an offer and force a purchase? I don't necessarily like that idea, and I don't see it happening. But I don't want to put something, adopt something by ordinance that may change. And if something comes up in the future, I don't want to be short-sighted enough to not have an opportunity like that. And with that, I would open up to another motion.
To approve the general plan as currently set up.
So I have a motion from George,
I second it.
second from Flo. Any further discussion? This is adopted by ordinance, is it not? Brandon, roll call vote.
Councilmember Manny Moss,
I'm opposed.
Councilmember Florence Sadler,
I'm for it.
Councilmember Ray, or Joe Ray, or
Thank you. That motion passes. Item number 5.2 is request to reconsider zoning density for East Mountain Townhomes by Joe Christensen. Who is running this presentation? Brandon, is that going to be you?
I can. Yeah, if Joe knows about it more than I know about it, but I'm happy to answer questions as well. So, yeah, whatever we need to do.
Okay.
Gary Anderson feels like he got shut out of that. He was trying to call in. He said, turn on his audio because he would have wanted to second my motion. He can hear the meeting.
He was on, his audio was on. I don't know if it's not on. It's on.
Well, we couldn't hear him.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Haley, will you just adjust my microphone a little bit? Sorry. I know you got a lot going. Can you hear me? Okay. This is the development for East Mountain Townhomes that Joe Christensen has presented. This went to the Planning Commission a few months back, and it was denied, and it came to the City Council for a rezone and a plan for development of the 8 units. It was heard here at the City Council meeting, and there was a motion made to reduce the units down to 6. There was also some comments made about changing how the development sat on 650. There was some heartburn about the setting of the properties as they face 650. Joe's gone back and done some revision to this. He's turned those units that were backing 650 and now they're fronting 650. So the front door would be on 650 and they'd be backload garages. This plan or this development, the recommendation from the staff was that it met the ordinance as the ordinance sat under the R3. And Joe is interested in the units as it is being shown here on this site plan. And I will let Joe answer questions. Does that, yeah.
You guys have any questions for me, or?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of training, but it's been a few years since I've had a lot, some specific training. And one of the things that in our initial training was that a motion could not be brought back up unless someone on the prevailing side, someone who voted with the motion to deny you, was willing to bring that back up. And I'm just wondering what has changed. Did we ask our attorney about that?
Was that, sorry, may I answer?
I'm just wondering why you brought it back up.
Well, wasn't that about the same, but because we made changes that it made a difference, so that it allowed us to bring that back without having someone else have to bring that motion forward? Is that?
That's what the city attorney indicated, is that Joe needed to make some changes to the site plan to be able to bring it back. Now, I don't know what happens after this, I can't speak to it. All I know is that if Joe made changes to the site plan, that he, under the site plan that he submitted, could bring it back for reconsideration to the City Council, because it was denied at the City Council.
And one of the things in the last City Council where we brought this up was, the mayor talked about, working together on this.
And so Brandon and I have been multiple times talking about this, and this is one of the things, is listening to the city council and some of the complaints and making these changes. Try to accommodate some of those concerns. And so we did, you know, even though it takes away the backyards of what those could be for those homes, and to adjust that around to have to look better on the 650 side, to do that, to accommodate those changes, and listening, we try to cooperate and go along with what the city council and the mayor suggested in our last meeting.
And what is the door on the kind of the roadside for the property, the 4 properties that are on the north? Where's the front door for the properties on the north?
North.
North,
On the north, right
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be right, you know, the driveway, look on the side, and just come up on the front porch. That's how we had these originally, they were all going to come out here, and none of us through the garage. Now they'll have their front entrance coming off the sidewalk on the front. So you're not staring at the back of the units. That was kind of what was one of the heartburn issues, and so we changed that around, and so they'll give that front look from the front. Make those, try to make those look more appealing on that roadside as the traffic is coming back and forth. And for the residents that are going along there all the time, that will, you know, help appease them a little bit.
So, Joe, I listened to the planning commission meeting, and when you mentioned that you had talked to a lot of the neighbors, those who were sitting around you, kind of did not say that you talked to them or listened to their concerns. And I'm asking you specifically, like, it's been 6 months, and all you're doing is you're putting a front door where the back door was. Has anything else changed? Have you done anything else?
We've attempted to talk with most of the neighbors, and part of the failure that happened, like I mentioned, the planning commission, is Elite Craft was more involved in that initially, and things weren't moving forward, and so that I took that over. I have a paper back there that those property owners that are surrounding it, that I've been able to get in contact with, have signed it.
Right.
I realized as we were sitting there that this property, I forget your name, I'm sorry. You live here in this lot? Is that right?
No, David, that's right.
No,
You're right here, right? You guys are the one.
So you are the Rogers? Okay. And has he talked to you?
No contact, no, nothing,
No phone calls, no nothing?
nothing.
And Dave?
We've had a couple of misses, we've had some appointments set up, but they didn't come to fruition.
Why didn't they come to fruition, Dick?
I was at my son's game, and I texted him afterwards and apologized. With that, we sat down in the fall, he and I on his driveway, and chatted about some different things on that. And I told him some things that I would do to make him happy on that, to accommodate his privacy. And what we talked about was to give him a fence on his property, but not on the property line, but up higher, that would give him his privacy, to not be staring at those units, and to put 4 trees along that side that in time would give him more property.
So I'm gonna actually interrupt you to say, like, that's not a prerequisite in order to get a building or to get a rezone. So I just wanted to see what you have done in the past 6 months. That's really what I was asking for.
Sure, okay. So what we've done is making those changes to the front. There's not much more. We try to twist it and to move it to how the other recommendations were. And this was still the best fit to accommodate those units on there.
I also heard one more comment of switching the road and putting it on the east side instead of on the west side, so as to not be right next to the homes on the west. Did you consider that?
We did, but in the winter time, if we have a winter like this, and those homeowners are trying to get out before whoever has to come to plow that would be a considerable effort to try to get them out there. And what else would happen, Mayor, is this routine will all review that would be much lower, and then we've got another issue with water issues as well, as we look at that, try to move that around.
So what's before us, Brandon, is a consideration for a rezone, correct?
Consideration for a rezone.
And
For 8 units.
we have not heard, tell me what your interest is, if I could. Do you have, no, behind you, I'm sorry. Yes,
No.
no interest, okay.
These are good friends, good neighbors, good.
Okay, great, thank you. And Sue Darger, you are on basically just a little bit up the road. And how do you feel like this affects you? I think it's encroaching on the R1 issue because it shouldn't be changed. This is what we have. This is how it's always been. And I know that's just old fashioned, but we should say the upper apartments, townhouses, other stuff to be right along Franklin Road. That's my opinion. Not higher up. I mean, why not just keep going forever?
Well,
That's my opinion.
thank you. So, Brandon, let me just make sure I'm very clear on this. It's currently zoned as an R112, and the request tonight is to rezone that as R3.
And,
Didn't we get the R3 zoning last time with the development agreement?
And just process-wise, if the council made a different recommendation than they previously made, it still has to go back to the planning commission and start again with the rezone request. So,
Isn't that what I did 2 weeks ago, a week ago?
No.
The city attorney said that it was denied here. So it had-
well, it does, but, I mean, it's still gotta go back to the planning commission for, subdivision approval and all that stuff.
Public.
I mean, it's not an approved project because you change your mind about the number of units. It still has to go through the whole process.
For the subdivision.
Yes.
So when he met with us and presented to city council in an appeal from the planning commission, he
Yes,
was coming to appeal the R3. We denied the R3 request
yes,
and recommended 6 units and said verbally, if he brought a development agreement with 6 units, we would approve that as a city council.
yes.
That's what occurred. So we are at a denial of an R3, and he's re-petitioning the R3 rezone.
So you could reconsider,
So if we approve this, this would then go back through to planning commission as an approval rezone, and it would then go through the public hearing process through the planning commission and then back to us, or would it be approved through the planning commission? Because what we're doing is we're overstepping the planning commission's right for public hearing.
I don't know, it sounds kind of confusing, doesn't it?
I know, I'm trying to understand this so that all of us can make the right decision.
It may be that you can reconsider the rezone and approve the rezone, but here's the thing, is that you denied it, essentially saying, we would consider approval if there were 6 units.
Right.
If you don't approve a specific number of units, then he has the right to build whatever the zone allows.
Right, but what I'm saying is he's not bringing back the development agreement.
No,
So we requested a development agreement and we don't have a development agreement in front of us.
yeah, so
For 6 units. And
That's what,
I think the only thing you could approve tonight is say, this is what we're comfortable with, and then we'd have to go work out the details.
What do you mean, this is what we're comfortable with?
Well, you said that you would approve 6, so if he's asking you to reconsider 8, so if you say, all right, we'll do 8, then that needs to be in the development agreement, otherwise he can have whatever the zoning allows.
Yes, and if we rezone that to A3 right now, we can't stipulate he can only have 6 units.
No, not without a development agreement,
Or even 8.
or even 8, he can have 10.
Okay, so.
Can you
why
guys
would we
hear me?
rezone it right
Just
now?
wanted to know if you can hear me.
And why can it even be on our agenda for a rezone when the prevailing side, no one is here on the prevailing side to say it?
There was no prevailing side, it was denied.
The prevailing side voted to deny
Right.
it. So the prevailing side voted to deny it.
What did the attorney say about that, Brandon?
I talked to the city attorney. The city attorney said if he's making changes to the site plan, he can bring it back for consideration. That's what the city attorney told me.
But you're not considering the site plan, you're reconsidering how many units you can have. You can't approve the site plan tonight.
Right.
It hasn't gone through the process. You can approve, you can consider the rezone and how many units you want him to have on that property. That's what you can consider tonight. The rest of it's gonna start over with the subdivision process.
So
Site
can
plan approval and all of that.
can we give Joe a clear understanding of what has to happen so that this can be done correctly, so we're not sending him in circles?
Yes.
Well, the subdivision and the site plan has to start back at the planning commission with all the
With 8
engineering
units?
detail and all of that stuff. All of that stuff, none of that stuff has been approved. The only thing that came to you was a rezone request. It wasn't approval of that site plan. It was just a rezone request. You denied it, and you said we would consider it if you came back with 6 units. So if you want to reconsider that motion, then you can reconsider that tonight.
But there is.
But you should make it subject to a development agreement.
Flo, did you have something?
Well, I listened to that meeting, the planning commission meeting, this recent one, where this was proposed again. And one of the big arguments that was given that day was, we have got to be able to, as a city, show that we're trying to get, to be friendly to a little bit of higher density units. And so I think that this, I mean, I'm hearing a whole different argument than I heard that night. And that's why Carrie Carroll sent that notice to us saying, I think we should relook at this, is what I understood. So, I mean, does that have anything to do with it?
So I'm just trying to understand what our action is before we start deliberating this too much, because I don't want to get down the road. I can tell Joe straightforward that I want to make sure this is done correctly. And I want to make sure that we follow the correct order.
Okay. I would is R1.
R1 is.
R112 is what it is currently zoned.
Which means.
All he applied to, all he brought to the planning commission was a rezone request.
From R112 to R3.
That's all he brought to the planning commission.
And that was denied by the planning
That
commission.
was denied. He appealed the denial, which is his right to the city council. You denied his appeal, but you left the caveat, we will consider
Right.
if it was 6 units. I think you can reconsider that, but you can't approve the subdivision tonight. That's not even on the table.
So we can't even consider a rezone.
You can, I think you can consider the rezone.
So I don't think we can, because that would have to be met with an open and public, that would have to be held with a public meeting.
Well, it was.
But it was denied. It was denied.
I think.
Maybe that's.
I think what the attorney was telling Brandon is that, because you were the denying body.
Right.
The final say on the denial of the rezone, you have the right to reconsider that denial.
Okay. And I think that's correct.
And I believe that's what Joe's asking tonight.
Right.
Is to reconsider that denial. And if you do that, then what that does is that puts it back in motion. We go back now and we look at all of the layout setbacks, the engineering, the utilities, the everything. All of that stuff's still gotta be done.
Okay, Eileen, did you have something?
This is not a project that will help our moderate to low-income housing. The developer has said so himself. There is no reason that the city has to do high-density housing for high-density housing's sake. There's no reason the city has to give the developer gravy, as he said himself at the planning commission meeting. If we truly want moderate housing and we're going to go with density for that, that's one thing, but this is not that project. And I would suggest that we need to contact our attorney and ask if this can be brought up for a rezone at the city council level, where they had a firm denial of 3 votes to 2 votes, and no one of those 3 votes that denied it is willing to bring that back up at the city council level. So it could go back to the planning commission and they may approve it, but right now, you don't have, I think we should ask the attorney. And so I would make a motion that we table this.
Is no one on the council prepared to reconsider tonight?
Well, but she voted for it and he voted for it. They're not on the prevailing side. So they can't bring it up because they were not on the prevailing side.
I think that's right.
I think it is too. I've been doing this a long, long time.
Now, I've got a question. You say that if it does get rezoned, he can put 10 homes on there?
Well, it would be up to the
And
planning
dwellings
commission.
and-
The planning commission can, it take, with a rezon without a development agreement opens the door to a lot more. So I would still make a motion that we table this evening.
So I want to advocate,
Gary seconded it.
okay, so I have a motion from Eileen and a second from Gary. But before we vote, like, what direction are we giving our resident? What are we telling them that what's his next step? What are we trying to do here?
We gave him direction, it was 6 units.
Okay,
Does that development agreement come from me or from the city?
You,
I have to build that agreement, okay, I didn't realize that, I thought it came from you guys, okay.
so, I have a motion on the table and I have a second. Do I have any further questions?
Just one comment, that he can change the plan and just go back to the process of the planning commission.
So I think what we really need is a rezone with a map, a site plan, and that is significantly altered, well, it's altered. I don't know, and I'm sorry, I don't want to waste your time, but I want to make sure that we're doing this the correct process. So, and I think we need to understand that we're not, we can't dictate moderate income housing. We can't mandate moderate income housing. We can't mandate what people do with their property as long as it meets our ordinance. If he is requesting an R3 rezone, he's requesting an R3 rezone. And that's it. We can't tell him what he can do with his property. As long as it's meeting our ordinances, we have to accept or deny the rezone request. So,
but we do have that right to accept or deny the rezone request.
yes,
I also,
that will be fought legally if we're denying it for frivolous and nonsensical reasons. Because the neighbor doesn't want it is not a reason that could hold up in the court of law.
But when you look at it in an R112 zone right next door, and right across the street, and right behind,
It's an R3 right next door.
on the one side, on the
Yes.
side that's close to the,
So we're not putting an R3 in the middle of a neighborhood of R12.
Yeah, you are.
yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
It's next door.
Yeah, you are.
I
It's
just
gonna
have
break
a
my
question.
heart.
Just for the staff standpoint, do you want us to give the staff any direction? Because you haven't given the staff any direction tonight. I mean, are we to understand that the council is not going to consider a higher density project?
Council said they would consider a 6-unit project at the time that it was denied.
Is that the direction still?
The direction tonight is to table the motion, to table the issue and
So,
find out from the attorney if indeed this can be brought up before the council when there is no one on the prevailing side that wanted to bring it up. It's a point of order.
All right, I get that. We'll answer that question.
That's what I would like.
But I'm pretty sure that you're right.
okay, so we have a motion on the table and we have a second. A motion from Eileen, a second from Gary. Any further questions? All in favor of approving the motion to table item number 5.2, which would be a request to rezone density for East Mountain Townhome. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay. Nay.
Thank you. So that has been tabled, Joe. I don't know what to tell you. No, I don't know what to tell you the next steps. Because, yes,
It sounds like I need to talk with, if I talk with the other council members on the preventative side, and one of them calls for it again, then according to Eileen, that will be okay.
That's true. That is true.
Can we tell him who?
Even though the attorney already had said that the changes.
The attorney wasn't asked that question. The question was different than the question I'm bringing up tonight. Those are two different questions. The attorney was not asked the question that I'm bringing up.
Oh, no, I can vote.
George voted with.
Oh. Sorry,
My vote stands.
I'm sorry. I don't get to vote very often.
Yeah, I was excited for that.
Yes.
So, okay. So my direction is wait for someone to talk to the city attorney to get direction, and then I talk to Brandon, we move forward.
I will be in touch with you and Brandon, or Brandon will be in touch with you.
Okay.
Because I don't know logistically how our next steps, and I'm sorry, I'm unprepared. I wish I would have known logistically how we're going to handle this. But I guess the motion's already been passed, motion's been carried.
Mhm.
So it's tabled for now. We'll get back to you and let you know what the next steps are.
Okay.
Thank you, Joe. This has been fun. Item number 5.3, review and discuss the Davis County Sheriff contract, the fiscal year 2023-2024. This is an item to review and discuss. There is no approval at this point in time. And I am coming to City Council asking for help. We have been in discussion and communication with our contract fire or contract police department, which is the county, and rates are going up significantly. Brandon, you should have all that information. And I would like to see like what options are on the table. What do we want to do? I think I have a different opinion than a lot of residents. And I want to know what you feel is our responsibility is to provide safety within the city. And how we can provide this at a reasonable rate. So I would like to have more of a discussion than anything else. Yes, go ahead. Councilmember Ray.
What are we mandated by law? Let's start there.
I don't think it's mandated by law, but it's our responsibility to provide safety to the residents of Freedom Heights.
Not mandated by law.
I don't know. That's a left field question.
There are a few things that are mandated. It seems like that's how we want to do it.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to go without.
Yes.
I'm just saying, whatever we're required of, you're kind of on a conversation about what should we provide, we should know what we're minimum bar before we start having a discussion.
I don't feel we should go without anything.
Sure.
But I don't think we should go with whatever is and whatever price is available or whatever we're told we have to pay.
So this is separate from Farmington Fire.
Yes, this is police.
This is the Davis County Sheriff's Office, which has provided us protection for many years. This is Davis County Sheriff's Office that when we had a body found down here in the hollow a few years ago of someone who was killed back in the 70s, spent hours and hours and hours and hours making an identification there with resources that a smaller community would not begin to touch.
So what we're saying now is that the county has provided paramedic services for as long as we were in existence and we've used them. That is all shifted. It's now the license for paramedic services are now provided by the fire. So we're covered by paramedic services from Farmington Fire. And so it's a shift. It's a pretty significant shift. We were beholden to the county because we had to have paramedic services within the county. Now that is all shifted, we have an opportunity, and the county is requesting / forcing our hand with an option. it's 125% increase over the next 4 years. We're going from 200 to almost 450.
And is it because they want a business, or what are they doing?
No, they are trying to.
I can explain.
Yes, go ahead, Brandon.
Okay.
Sorry, I totally stole your thunder.
No, I have no thunder.
Can you guys hear me? I'm just curious to know if you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you, but Brandon can hear you right now.
Can you hear me, Gary?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just
Okay.
I keep
I'm gonna
moving
hang up
my
on
mic
this.
back because I have feedback, so if you say something, I'll move your mic up.
Sounds good.
So as Mayor Pullman explained, when Davis County when the paramedic contract switched from Davis County to the fire departments, that changed significantly how the county responded to Fruit Heights City. Where before they could share some of that expense through just being here for paramedic services, police services. Now that that's gone, they are only providing police service for the city. So we have historically contracted for 8 hours or 9 hours a day, for the week, a total of 3,000 and something hours for the year. That model doesn't really work very well, because how do you, once you reach that 3,000 hours, does the police department just not show up? Or, so I have some
question, is who pays for that?
Yeah, is the county going to subsidize that, or is the county going to send the city a bill for what the overage amount was? I don't know of any business that likes to subsidize anything, so I would assume that sometime we would get a bill. So I get a little bit nervous about that. It can be argued, well, how much time do they really spend in our city? We're a small community. I don't know. I
can tell you this, Frank and Charlotte Hunt felt like there was a deputy there within almost minutes
3 minutes.
of, that perhaps would not have been as close from Farmington, because they're up and down this highway all the time.
They were there in 3 minutes and Farmington was there in 7.
Yeah.
So Farmington has said that
5
they can,
minutes. Sorry.
yeah, that they can get there that fast, but honestly, if Frank had landed face down, 3 minutes to 5 minutes would have been the difference in life and death.
Yes. Councilman Moss, would you let Brandon proceed?
So, I've tried to go back and forth in my mind of what a good period of time would be for Fruit Heights City. And at some point, you start reaching a dollar amount, just to provide the service of 2 deputies, because it requires 2 deputies for 9 hours to cover our city. That's $346,000. That's minimum. So if you say, okay, well, we only want 9 hours, well, if they do 3 in the morning and 3 in the evening, that's still 2 deputies. It's still having to cover, because they don't work 24/7. So that's the challenge I'm having, is does it make sense to continue contracting that way, or do we just slowly start moving towards what we would call a single patrol area, and we would combine with South Weaver, who has the same problem that Fruit Heights City does. Small community, doesn't have a police department, and contract for 24/7 service, which would significantly increase the service of the police department. That line item in our budget, it would go from the 346 to the 475 each year. But the county is willing to, over a period of 5 years, ramp that up 20% each year until we reach 100%. I need some direction. I need some discussion, I need some thoughts, so that I can put something into the budget. There's always the option to go with a neighboring police department, but I don't know that that's a better solution, because what we get with the sheriff's department is we get bomb squad and the detectives and the guys that carry around cool guns and break your door down. What are they called?
Yes, but all the cities, all the neighboring cities contract with the county for those services as well. So it's not that we would go without, it is.
Well, Layton doesn't, Bountiful doesn't.
Yes, but Kaysville and Farmington both do. So what I think we need to do as a council is to understand what we really want, what we really need. Do we consider this, or do we go and ask other cities what a cost would be per contract? I personally, and no, I probably shouldn't say that. I'm not going to say that. Do we have any comments from the city council?
I think it's important to note that right now we don't have a neighboring city that is willing to take us right now.
Right. But we also haven't asked.
We haven't asked, but I have been told.
Any comments? Do you see the dilemma that we're in?
I'm not sure I fully understand the opportunity quite yet. So let me see if I can sum it up for my own understanding. We've got two options going forward.
You actually have three.
On contract hours, so the county, who's running the contract hours? That was going to be the county. So both options are still the county.
Yes, all three options if you can.
All three options are still the county.
Correct?
Yes. I don't have any pricing from other neighboring cities.
We have not asked specifically for a bid. From
That's
any
correct.
cities. And let me just make a statement that the police do not prevent crime.
And not only that, they have no responsibility to protect us. This American Life has a wonderful podcast on what police are actually required to do, and they have no expectation of protecting people. The little sign on the car says, that's an assumption, it's not true at all. So we, the people, have confused ourselves about what policing actually is required to do. So I encourage you to listen to that podcast for This American Life, because what the police actually are required to do. And New York is watch a guy get 9 to death, well, almost 9 to death, because they're not required to put themselves in harm's way. Generally, they do, because that's who they are, and that's what they live with, or thrive by, and list people, and that's awesome. That's good for us that don't want to do that, but we have to keep in mind that policing, we gotta be aware of what really the police is required to do as well. So like Ron was saying.
So hold on, I'm not going to go that far and say that I've listened to this podcast or I agree with that. I'm not a defund police individual.
And you're right, don't get me wrong.
But I am stating a fact that they don't stop crimes of opportunity, which 90% of the crime within the city is. We don't have, and I guess I'll get into it, we don't have a Walmart, we don't have a storefront, which if you go and you ask the cities that have large businesses, the amount that they spend to police those locations is very expensive. The net benefit of having a large point of sale location in the city is expensive because we have to have those funded. You go to like Black Friday and you see police all over the place, these big buildings, these big storefronts. They have to minimize crime. We don't have that here. And so a police presence in the city is going to document crime, file a report, and
Prosecute.
And what?
Prosecute.
And prosecute. They monitor speeds and they write speeding tickets. And so that is something that we need to consider. What are we going to do? But we need to be wise with this decision, because if we say no, we're not going to go that direction, we're going to contract with Highway Patrol just to write tickets for us and write reports, or we're going to go a different direction. We need to live with that decision because it can get spun very poorly very quickly. And so I'm not saying we need to go one way or the other, but we just need to realize what we're doing and the amount that that's going to cost our taxpayer residents.
And I agree with what Mayor Poland's saying. We don't have a lot of that. My worry is when the council sets a budget and at the end of that fiscal year, the council's being requested to pay above and beyond what we contracted for. As a city manager, that makes me nervous because I had to do that with another department that we, that's hard. That's hard.
And which one of these 3 options that we have requires that?
Option one does.
Option 1.
Yes.
Another thing that I think we ought to seriously talk about is yes, they are looking at some steeper increases, but how many more housing units do we have in our city now versus what we had before for housing units? And so how has that increase affected us one way or another?
The ones that are proposed to be built or the ones that have been built since when?
Yeah, just.
We have consistently increased our population 1.5% to 2% for the last 10 years.
And has our fire deaths, our police have consistently gone up at least that much as well?
I would say that police has gone up more because of crimes of opportunity where, it'll be interesting to see how Highway 89 affects this because you used to be able to get right on, right off, blow through a neighborhood and take what you want. Now there's a southern and a northern and there's nothing in between. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects the city and crime. But Mayor Pullman is exactly right. Crimes of opportunity, speeding, maybe an occasional fight, argument, loud party at the Trimble's house or something, I don't know.
I'll tell you the last one if you want to know, but by the way, it was a case of personally there. So I don't know, that's why I was trying to
At your
say-
house?
Well.
You gotta keep things down, Triples.
Well, you guys gotta stop leaving me vacant houses and stuff across the street.
Oh,
But-
okay.
But it was, that's why you said there was nothing with Kaysville on, that's why I raised my hand, I don't understand it.
So,
He was in a Kaysville car for the sheriff's.
So they have interlocal agreements that if a sheriff isn't close enough, then they send the next closest department. That would do away with that if we went 24/7 with the sheriff because we'd have somebody here more often than not. So,
So we put this on the agenda, not to make a decision, but I'm bringing this to your attention that this is a decision that needs to be made pretty quickly. And I don't know which direction to go. This is something that's going to not just impact us and our city council, but it's something that's going to impact the residents for a long time. And so I would love some help in coming up with solutions or ideas. Option number 2 was because we were sitting with the county, the sheriff, I'm like, no, because they were forcing us to have our own dedicated 20%. I said, no, let's split this with South Weaver. Like, oh, that's a good idea. Hadn't thought of that. So I'm looking for creativity, I'm looking for ideas, I'm looking for something else outside the box because this is going to cost a lot. And we're going to have more presence, but it's not going to decrease crime.
So let me make sure I understand. I'm not sure I still do. So if we're basically saying we would do one 24/7.
We would
share 24/7 between South Weaver and Fruit Heights.
And
That puts, let me just explain, that puts 5 deputies on our precinct or our service area district because you've got vacation, you've got sick leave, you've got training. You've got to have five deputies.
And they would still be managed by the sheriff's office.
Yes.
Still managed by the sheriff's office, but they would be assigned to Fruit Heights. So we wouldn't be pulling from different areas of the county.
So, and we wouldn't be trying to manage our own
No,
department.
no.
It would go through dispatch, would be the same, but we were creating our own district, splitting it with South Weaver.
So if you're wanting to create, and I just go back to this individual because she was phenomenal. If you're wanting to create the Jen Daly, who was always known and present in Fruit Heights City many years ago, where residents know who it is, and that's what you would be doing. The other option would be contract with hours, and the sheriff just assigns a deputy to be in our city for those many hours over that period of time, and it may change day to day, week to week.
Or, let me throw out some other options. We hire one person that lives within the city, like a small town community, like Lake Town, Utah, or something, that's their job. At this point, I'm literally, any option is on the table, but we have to pick up both ends of the stick.
So he would be part of the city staff, the city policeman.
No,
It won't be me.
No, no.
Well, you know that,
No.
or me, Brian.
No, I don't know what that would look like. I'm just throwing out ideas like, this solution I don't feel comfortable with yet. That's why it's not coming for more discussion and approval. I'm in a position like, I don't know what else we can do.
So what was the third option?
So the first option is to contract with just a certain number of hours. The second option would be to contract with another police department, and the third option would be to contract 24/7. So in my mind, those are the three options. Mayor Pullman, you gotta, did I misstate that?
No, you're
The
right.
fourth option would be to hire somebody within the city.
And we get when they're awake. They're just on call. I don't know. I'm throwing this in jest because I don't know.
I have property in one of those kind of small town communities, and it's,
Their tickets are terrible. They're doing a horrible job.
and their crime their seriousness of taking reports of crime is dismal, to say the least. And so I don't see us trying to run our own single man as even the beginnings of a possibility.
I do. But anyways, keep going. Sorry. I interrupted you. That was really rude. Please forgive me.
I like your idea of sharing service with South Weaver. If you have 5 deputies, and maybe it's a quiet day one place and it's a busier day another, it gives some options there.
So another one of my big concerns is that we are currently paying for a deputy to sit at the UTA parking lot, park and ride, and on his phone or ride reports or whatever he's doing, or sitting in Cherry Hill parking lot doing whatever. You know, we get more than what we're paying for. We contract for 9 hours, we're probably closer to 11. But how effective are those 11 hours? I can't tell you exactly. But I can tell you when I see them not being effective. I see them on Mountain Road, and I think that's great. You're slowing traffic down, but you're not stopping crime. So go ahead. Sorry, Councilmember.
This is gonna go back a little bit. I just want to understand the numbers just a little better. Through Heights, you've got $336,000 for your annual cost.
Right now, we're paying $209 for our service.
For the 80 hours a week. And then 2013.
We don't get 80 hours a week.
No, we only pay 9 hours a day
9 hours a day.
for the 209.
Okay. 9 hours.
So that 80-hour contract would just be showing you what 80 hours would be like. But what the sheriff's saying is it costs $168,000 for one deputy, and to cover 9 hours, you're still paying that $336 because you've got 2 deputies to cover the time. They're not going to be there from 6 in the morning to every day. They're going to be there at night. They're going to be in the morning. It's not the same deputy. I'm just saying, he's saying this
That's a
too.
deputy and a half, isn't it, for that 60,
How do you,
you know?
yeah, but the challenge comes when that deputy is sick at training or gone. The sheriff's department has to pull a deputy from somewhere. So you can't really pull a half of a deputy.
Right.
You've got to pull a whole deputy. So you're pulling him from somewhere. So you're paying for 2 at the
When you
minimum.
say 5 and 4 won't work. And the reason I'm just asking.
So it's not Brandon that's saying that's what the sheriff is telling us.
Okay.
This is not Brandon's numbers. This is what we've been told.
Yeah. This is what I'm told. If we want 80 hours, we have to have 2 deputies. If we want 9 hours, we have to have 2 deputies. If we want to go above the 80 hours and do a shared patrol with South Weaver 24/7, we get 2.5 deputies. But that allows for 5 total, 1 to be sick or training or whatever the case might be. But it takes, for a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week service, it takes 5 deputies.
So this is an item that will be brought back many times, and I would love some support or one of you to raise your hand and say, I'll look into this more. Like, I don't know what else we can do, and I don't feel comfortable with this quite yet. Yes, go ahead. It has to be decided by June, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it needs to be decided before June 30th, but Fruit Heights and South Weber are in the same location, if one of us pulls out, then it doesn't work. So if South Weber says no, then, you know, I'm not going to call the sheriff and say, hey, we want 2.5 deputies to come to the city, then we just contract for service hours.
So,
Sorry, go ahead, Ray.
Sorry, I'm not smart enough to pick up all this. We're currently being serviced by the
Sheriffs.
the county, right?
County.
Yeah, and we're currently contracting for
9 hours a day.
9 hours a day. And
9 hours within a 24-hour period.
is no longer going for it. Is that what you're saying, that we can't?
No, we can still do 9 hours. My concern is that, let's say, I don't know, there's something that happens and we go over that period.
The county is wanting to move away from the 9-hour contract. They are wanting to push us into a 24/7. I said, let's split it with South Weaver. And they're like, oh, maybe we could do one between the two of you. This really isn't an option according to the county, but I think it's still an option if we push harder.
The county said it would still be an option if we push hard enough.
who is the council member that's the liaison to the sheriffs?
I have been. And I'm asking for help.
And
I'd like to know what people want to do. Go ahead, Ray.
so in a perfect world,
We wouldn't have police.
or whatever.
All we need is like, anyway, there'd be no crime.
And then there's the other, sorry, go ahead, I'm interrupting.
And then, so the county's pushing us to move away from the 9 hours per day. They want us to have 24/7 coverage, but we all know we don't need 24/7 coverage. We need somebody to be there to respond to call, but we don't have 24/7 work. Right? So the problem is we don't have 24/7 work, but we need 24/7 coverage. And so we need enough area to get enough work for 24/7 coverage.
Which South Weaver may give us.
Well, even between the two of them, will there really be 24/7 work, 24/7 work?
You have 5 deputies, there would be.
Well, no, there's still enough time to paperwork, stuff to do to keep
No.
24/7 coverage.
This is where you're picking out a scab on me.
Right, and so that doesn't make economic sense altogether. So the 9 hours, still makes more sense to us, right?
I think 3 would work really well.
Sure. So I want, John, I don't want to say, hey, let's take this county down the road along the county but
So let me just play a scenario, and I don't know if this will happen, but what if the county comes back and says, no, we're not gonna do it? What's your option?
In Salt Lake, they just disbanded because, and are forcing the county to take it back on.
No, they just did away with unified police.
They did away with unified and said the county has the
Cities.
responsibility.
Cities are doing them on their own. Riverton, Taylorsville, South Jordan, West Jordan, all built their own. because
Police
they do
departments,
corrections.
because Unified's disbanded.
It's not county. Salt Lake is now required to use county. Salt Lake City is required by Salt Lake, sorry. Keep going. Councilmember Ray.
and I think I'm there. I think I'm kind of seeing the problem with the issue of why we need to change make this decision. We don't need to make it, but Brandon's worried that they're going to force our hand.
And we need to be transparent with South Weaver and let them know what we're doing sooner than later.
And
I'll help.
You-
Oh,
would you?
sorry, did I interrupt?
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, so if we both say, you know, we don't have 24/7 work from to do, and so you're right, like Sean's saying, we've got to find some, if the county's not willing to work with us, we need to look around the nation to see what these small towns are doing
Okay.
to solve this problem.
So this is something, and I appreciate Flo, I'll loop you in and see what we can do to look at other options or whatnot. This is something that will come up on the agenda pretty regularly. We need to start making some decisions, and we need to let the county know, we need to let South Weaver know in in the coming month or two.
Just so you know, for budgeting purposes, because I'd really like to get the budget done here in the next week. So that we know where we're moving forward after. I'm going to budget the 336,774 in the budget. It's there. You can go down from there, you can go up from there, but just know that that's going to be in your budget, so that that's what you have to work with. And I'll make sure you get a copy of that. But you know, I just need a number to use as a placeholder. You'll obviously be able to change that as you get closer to adopting your budget.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner, Councilmember Moss.
Thank you.
I should call your last name. I know your last name is way better than your first.
So as we look at the possibilities here and we know one city that's neighboring that is not willing to take us under their wing. We have two other cities that are fairly close to us.
You only have two.
Okay.
Layton City won't respond across another jurisdictional line if there's the ability to have that. It's the same as the fire department. They just won't cross jurisdictional lines. We have to be bordered
We
to
are,
them.
but, no, we're not.
Is that
occasional?
Oh, it's air or rain? Oh, jeez. Drinking cup. Okay, keep going.
So we really only have two.
Okay.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for the discussion. We're gonna keep moving on. Is that all right? An item like this would have been taken care of in a work session if we do those. Item number 5.4 is review, discuss, approve the Robinson Waste price increase for fiscal year 23-2024.
Do you have anyone else that wants to give us bids?
So Robinson Waste is proposing an increase. This would occur July. It's not going to occur right now. It would occur in the new budget year. Consumer price index is what is behind the increase for the service. I will let you know that the increase may be a little bit more than that because we have been supplementing through general fund monies the garbage as well. So what Robinson is charging currently, we have been also supplementing a little bit from our general fund. So that may go up a couple of cents more just to make sure that we're not running a deficit in the garbage. And that was noted in the audit, this last audit report that we
So Councilmember Moss had a good point. Is there any reason why we wouldn't go up a bit with a secondary option?
No, you can go out. You can go out to bid. There's nothing that would stop you from doing that.
When was the last time we bid it out?
Just prior to you being elected as mayor, I think we're on the last year of our five-year contract with Robinson.
So, 5-year contract. Okay.
That's usually what we've done historically.
Okay.
So the next budget year, you'd be able to go out to. This is our last year.
I read that the CPI for gasoline went down 2% last year. I figured that probably was. I'm kind of surprised that
Diesel. They're diesel.
It's about fuels. So all fuels are down. 2022. Maybe CPI.
He provided, I shared that information with you, right? The information you shared.
CPI, but that's all items. I don't know why they're very focused industry. We're all their employees need 6% pay raise. And if they were being on employees 6% pay raise.
Everybody else is.
McDonald's got 6% or more, so.
And so I was just.
Yeah.
There was 6%, or did it say all items? Seems like a really niche market.
I've found Robinson Waste to be pretty transparent with this. I don't feel like they've ever tried to take more than what they need to run their business, but I'm not opposed to.
Thank you, Brandon. And do we have a motion on the table for this?
I'll second.
Motion from George, second from Eileen. Councilmember Moss. You guys say Moss more often. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the Robinson Waste price increase for fiscal year 2023-2024, say aye. Any opposed? Thanks.
Mayor, can I ask one more question on the sheriff?
Yes.
So last time we had a report from the sheriff's office, they referenced how much crime has decreased in the city because of the sound wall. It's kind of like in my area, how many houses with cameras is someone willing to drive by to commit a crime? Because you can't get back out onto that road. My question is, do we need to explore doing less than 9 hours? And is that a possibility?
I'm open to all options. That's what I'm saying, but I will say emphatically that we need to understand when we pick up one end of the stick, we're gonna pick up both ends.
Darren and, oh, sorry. I know.
There is a downside to it, and there's a perception issue. If we say, hey, we've been contracted for 9 and now we're gonna go to 4 to save money, you know, what happens when someone calls at 4 o'clock in the morning and they've already reached their 4 hours that day, and that means to break up a fight, it's gonna take 2. You know, we just have to know that when we pick up that end of the stick, we gotta pick up both. So I don't wanna do this blindly, and I don't wanna do this quickly.
And like, I mean, you said, but they were reporting all the stuff they were doing in the city, right?
For the month.
They're pretty transparent. They're pretty transparent, but it's different when they show up on Mountain Road with a mudslide and they're there very, very quickly because they're here in the city. But what were they doing before? They're probably sitting parked in a parking lot somewhere, and the clock is going and it's charging throughout its time. But they're here quickly. Like I can't say anything negative to that, but we're also paying because they're here quickly. Okay, moving on. Review. Thank you, Brandon. Item number 6.1. Item number 6. Review and approve the city council minutes from March 7th. Do we have any discussion? I would look for a motion to approve the minutes of March 7th.
I made a few changes. Were they okay? Did anybody notice?
Yes.
I move that we approve the minutes from March 7th, 2023.
I have a motion from Councilmember Sadler. I have a second from Councilmember Ray. All in favor of any further discussion? All in favor of approving minutes from March 7th, say aye.
Aye.
March 21st, item number 6.2. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of March 21st.
Isn't that one we just did? No, what did
We
do?
did
March 7th.
We did March 7th, okay.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 21st, 2023.
Thank you, Councilmember Sadler. Do I have a second? Second from Councilmember Ray. All in favor of approving the minutes from March 21st, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. Moving on, the consent calendar, March.
There's one more.
There's another set of minutes.
Yeah. They were, July. We have not approved those yet. So if you want to take some time, we don't have to approve them tonight, but if you'd like to take some time and read through them, some of you weren't here. So Lindsay's worked hard to get us caught up. This is minutes that were kind of left incomplete between her and Amy, or Amy and her. So,
Perhaps table those until,
yeah, we can put them on the next
That's what he
one.
said. That's what he said.
okay.
Consent calendar, March check and budget reports.
I have not had a chance to review those, but I'm sure they're wonderful like every month, but I will review them if I have issues.
Would you please
Just bring it
report?
up.
Would you please report next month on that? There are no follow-up items. City council reports. Councilmember Moss, you have a meeting report.
We do have a closed meeting.
We do have a closed
Okay.
meeting items, but we'll get to that.
Two things. The Emergency Preparedness Committee, Citizen Court Council, would like to participate and do some emergency demonstrations or provide information whenever Founder's Day is. And so we would be interested in knowing when and where that may be. If it's here at the city offices, the value to that is that we could have some displays inside. there's more parking around. And we've, a couple times in the past, tried to do a emergency preparedness fair, which is, in the past, it's been quite a while, but it's been pretty well attended. And just thinking if we could put that in conjunction with a Founder's Day, that might be a good idea. The other thing is that the city is participating in the shakeout at 10:15 on April 21st. So we're hoping that our neighborhood coordinators can invite their neighborhoods to put out their green sign for those people who are aware that that it is the shakeout time.
Great.
And then the other thing is this idea of knowing who you're playing in the sandbox with. It was really nice to recognize our fire chief, Chief Love, as he came up to assist with the situation on Mountain Road. And so we, as a emergency preparedness committee, are still hoping to get a group together to go meet with the fire department, have a tour of the station, talk about what's available. And I don't know if any of the other council members would be interested in attending when we do that. So we'll put you on.
Great. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Okay. That's all.
Councilmember Ray. Councilmember Sadler.
Nothing at the moment.
I have nothing at the moment. Jeff Euler, do you have anything?
Can I take 2 minutes? Never let me say anything. I promise it's just 2 minutes.
Really? Are we gonna bet again?
Yes, start the clock.
Go.
This is a partial answer to Eileen's question. I can't find a state code reference, but in our own city code about recalling an appeal, it says that a concurring vote of a simple majority of the total membership of the appeal body, which is you, shall be necessary to reverse any order, requirement, or determination. So it appears, if this is up to date with state law, that Joe Christensen could ask one of you to bring it up in a meeting, and then if you got a simple majority vote of the council, you could reconsider it. That's what it appears to be saying. So we will verify that with the attorney and make sure that that reference is still up to date with what state law says. I just can't find it in the state law.
So in a meeting like tonight, it could have been heard.
It could have been, if George said, I want to reconsider this appeal, and then the majority of you voted to reconsider it, you could have reconsidered it.
Okay.
But we'll get that, we'll figure it out.
Is there a reason, because we're all still here, we couldn't do that now, if that's what that's saying?
Well,
It's already been tabled for tonight.
It's gone.
Yes, and we need to, I want to make sure this goes through the proper channels. Because if there is contention that's going to be brought up, I don't want anything to be done when it's not very properly noticed. I want to be transparent as we can.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
That's what, I guess, from my perspective, that's what we were addressing, that concern, that's why the changes were made, and we brought that forward, because that was the understanding until Eileen said what she said, but the understanding from the attorney conversations anyways, was that.
We'll have a specific answer to that before the next meeting, next council meeting.
Anything else?
No.
Excellent. Darren, do you have anything?
No.
How are we doing with UDOT? Any updates?
Just saying, we're just finishing up all those small things so we can get the road opened up and, well, we'll opened up and stuff like that.
How's your staff? You guys are amazing. How are you guys doing?
Good. Moving along, so.
Please report back that we love you guys. Like that sign on the door is like legit. I saw that, like, we really do love you. You guys are awesome. You were there so quickly, calling people in from Saturday And it was great, thank you. I don't need to get into.
Will you not be paving any portion of Nichols Road as part of what's gone on? Will they be repaving any part of Nichols?
That part,
They're getting close to Nichols Road and seal it.
The bridge.
Bridge.
that part that's a mess is us, and we know that. That's part of our plan. There's a 200 yard section that is in our plan to update that. Brandon, do you have anything?
This weekend, I just want to make you aware.
Could you mic up? Sorry.
Let's go.
This weekend, I just want to make you aware that there will be some bikers up at the Fruit Loops. There's a couple of trucks that are going to be allowing people to demo bikes up there. So I don't know what kind of a crowd it's going to be. They've done it in the past. It hasn't been a problem.
Has been a problem in the past.
It what?
It has been a problem in the past with numbers and parking and the sheer volume.
Oh, I wasn't aware.
What are we going to do to mitigate concerns? Because probably 4 years ago, when that first opened up, we had bikers up there, we had a demo, and it turned into a mess.
Well, it turned into a mess because a food truck showed up.
Okay.
But I've been through it with them. They don't have any intention of bringing food trucks. They're just up there. It's being done in conjunction with Bikers Edge. The Bikers Edge group is up there frequently doing trail maintenance and helping with the trail. But they asked if they could go do a demo event up there and allow people to come and demo bikes up on the Fruit Loop trail.
Okay.
I didn't know it had been, I hear the complaints of people going up there, but I guess I just assumed that that's what it was for, to go ride, but it's not an all-day event. It's in the morning until midday. Santa Cruz, I think, is one of the bikes. Anyway, so I just want to make you aware.
Okay.
There's going to be people up there on the Fruit Loops. If this is something that the council doesn't like or doesn't want to do, please let me know and I will inform that.
Can we ask them for a donation?
They actually provide a lot of service up there on the trail. That's why it's like the Davis High Mountain Bike Team. Those are the two groups every year that will spend not just a day, but their entire season, different times during the season up there doing trail maintenance or asking what they can do. I've got a third group. It's a women's mountain biking group that wants to provide service up there. I'm currently working with them on projects. So between Bikers Edge, Davis High Mountain Bike Team, and this women's, I think they call them Hell's Angels. I can't remember, but no, I'm kidding. This women's mountain biking group, there will be a lot of service that's provided up there.
Great. Did you have something else?
I also think that Bikers Edge has contributed quite a bit of money to the
Mountain bike
building
trail.
of that bike park. Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
they did.
Anything else?
I just really quick just want to report on just a couple things. We are working on getting Mountain Road repaved. We are working on the landscaping of East Oaks and 1800 East with the installation of the new secondary water meters that recently occurred. We are working on the landscaping, re-landscaping of Quail Ridge and 650 North. That is all on the city staff's radar. We haven't forgotten about any of it. So if you get, residents, the minute it warmed up, we were asked when we were going to start landscaping. They haven't even started cutting sod yet. So can't landscape till there's sod to put down.
And are we hearing anything from Weaver Basin on a start date on Mountain Road?
It just barely got warm enough. So
Yeah, yesterday.
they're just firing up all of those plants because a week ago we had 20 inches of snow. So that's all in the works. We just, it'll happen. So I want to just make you aware of that. We also know of a couple patches that we need to make. Those will happen as well. That, water lines that broke during the wintertime. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Gary, did you have anything? Sorry, I skipped it. I didn't see you.
Thank you. I don't have anything.
Great, excellent. We have 2 items on a closed meeting agenda. We have an employee competence and a land acquisition to hold in a closed meeting. And I would look for a motion.
Motion to move into closed meeting to discuss an employee issue as well as potential land acquisition.
So I have a motion from Eileen Moss. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Gary Anderson. All in favor of moving into closed meeting, say aye.
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 That is
Recess.